Another way that we can interact with functions that's slightly less useful is inside the function specifying what happens to the result. You'll notice that this one doesn't have a return statement. In other words, what it does is it takes those two arguments, it adds them together into an integer, a third integer called int c. So int a plus int b equals int c. And then it takes int c and it directly impacts a piece of the page. Now, I can still give any two arguments to this function. I could give it any two numbers, and the thing is about this, or the limitation, is that it only is going to impact the inner text of display div. I can no longer use this function to send an alert or to send something to the console. I can't use it in another function because I've limited myself by putting that code into the function itself. And so when I call that function, I might call it like this: add num equal, or add num, and then in parentheses I give the arguments int a and int b. You'll notice that I'm not telling it what to do with that result because that's actually built into the function. So you're locked in that way, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Now, if I'm going to interact with this function in a more limited way, I would be probably removing the return, and instead I'm going to take this part and I'm just going to say rdiv inner text equals int result. And I can do that inside the function. I can access that div. But now you can see that what I'm doing is I'm just calling that function and I'm giving it the values. So I still have flexibility as to where those come from, right? I can say value D and I can say value C here if I want to. I could give it static numbers. I could get values from just about anywhere. So the source of those arguments is still flexible, and I still have the power to choose what numbers and where they come from. However, I've now limited myself as to where the results end up. The results always are going to go here because that's now part of the function. So I've sacrificed some of my flexibility, but what I've gotten back is a little bit of simplicity in terms of calling the function. You can see the function call is now very short, and it's still giving parameters, or still giving arguments to those parameters, but now it's very, very short and it's quick. And so that's the sort of trade-off that you get when you give up that functionality by moving more of the specifics into the function. It's a less generic function, which means it's less flexible, but it's a little bit simpler.